Bolyán Anita, 7. Headed dragons, solved, Paleolithic migration, north to south, from 115,000 BC, 2025. Abstract. According to the oral Siberian legend, a shaman family decided to migrate all over the world to teach the other people. The archaeological evidences show that they had the reason to do so, the spread of the last glacial cold climate. It began around 115,000 years ago, and the evidences go back to the 30 to 20,000 years BC when the gravity cultures appeared in Europe, deriving from two sources, Western Europe with the so-called Venus figures and the Eastern Europe with the multi-headed or legged figures, which were used by the Siberian and Eastern European cultures living in the tundra just some decades among the Samoyeds. The legends tell the truth. Their descendants were called Yam, or the seven-headed Leviathan, and the seven-headed dragon. Their memory as a dangerous fighters can be detected from, even, the modern film series, Shrek. Donkey's wife is a dragon with ferocious manner, eating, even, men. It is not true that the mankind derives from only Africa, that new and new migrations have started from times to times, and that is the way how the human race developed and develops today. Milankovic explained that because of the unique movements of the orbit Earth, Milankovic cycle, Wikipedia, the climate and the weather change in a foretellable way. The scientist, R. Boskovic from Dubrovnik, Zupen, 2012, explained that the unique movement can derives from the special, gazoid, from of the Earth. As a result, the human groups migrate according to the climatic changes together with the fauna and the flora. Bolyán, Colorful Theory, 2019. The ancient people did not know about the scientific background of the north to south migration, however, they described the results of those migrations. The so-called many-headed dragons attacked the seasides of the Mediterranean Sea, and, then, they became the bodyguards of the princesses, who lived in the living towers, like Jericho, of the Canaan region, later, remained as the legends of the princesses guarded by the dragons as children, tales who had to be rescued by the young male knights. Originally, Baal defeated some monsters and was in love with his sister, Anat, building a palace. The is the origin of the dragon-killing heroes with different other toposes. As the Bible confesses, too, the northern fighters of those dragons from the sea, north, were unbeatable. The Book of Daniel confessed that those fighters won all the times. However, according to the Ugarit texts, Baal was able to stop them and won over the monsters from the sea or Leviathan, and only Mot, his own brother from the south, could kill him, although, later, Baal could relieve somehow. The texts are not full about this theme. In a summary, the Leviathan or Lethan, who are mentioned as many-headed dragons in the children tales, are the memory of a north to south migration period caused by the special form and movements of the Earth causing climatic changes. 1. Gravity, cultures and its neighbors, many-headed deity, families. As the archaeologists can find more and more remnants from the Paleolithic period when the climate became colder and colder, it became apparent that the hunters who lived between Italy and the Ural developed a distinguished art or thinking. They made some sculptors with many heads or legs. The origin of this can be the bone deformations caused by the lack of the light on some real animals and people, later, resulted in the respect of the multi-fingered shamanism. Bolyán, D. Vitamin, 2025. Note, the several sculptors of the female figures, called Venus sculptors, prove that, as well, the darkness caused not only bone formations, but the rise of the melatonin, which results in higher sexual desires. Bolyán, Ibid, 225. As a consequence of the colder weather until the change around 11,500 years, the northern human people had been forced to migrate to the livable places of the southern areas of the Mediterranean Sea, where they attacked the aboriginal, or migrant, human population. After that date, the weather became warmer and more pleasant, taught the human and other living populations. Thus, the northern hunters could be feted and kept as bodyguards in the living towers of the richer and more powerful leaders of the human small states of the Neolithic societies. After a while, a new kind of aboriginal strata, represented by Baal, could overwin the migrant monsters and the original population regained its power again. Note, the population of Lebanon are quite intact. There are archaeological findings which prove that the cultures living in the tundra, like the Samoyeds, preserved their ancient thinking with the multi-headed and legged deities, even today. Their wooden figures were the source of the metaphor of the multi-headed dragons which could make some fires which were inevitable to survive in the glacial period. The memory of the Samoyeds and their similar Eastern Europeans migrants, fighters, or pirates lasted so long before the period was long, too, and it was the first time when the human groups began to draw some paintings on the wall of the caves. The Gemini AI made a detailed research about the evidences that the Samoyeds preserved the multi-headed figures of their ancestors' beliefs, which was, partially, the result of their everyday experiences of the deformations caused by the lack of the light, i.e. D, vitamin, because they lived in the caves and hunted, mainly, in the dark against the big animals of the last glacial period, mammoth, bears etc. The Egyptian god, Nun, can be identified as their main god or the son of their main god, the hairy bear, the bearded man. The multi-headed god depictions of the Samoyedic peoples, such as the Nenets, Anganazan, and extinct southern Samoyedic groups, are characteristic representations of their religious beliefs, primarily evidenced through ethnographic finds. Due to the fragility of the wooden and textile cult objects which formed the basis of these depictions, few have survived. The existence and use of multi-headed Samoyedic deity figures are proven by the following ethnographic, historical, and archaeological sources. Ethnographic and historical evidence. The most compelling evidence comes from the reports of 18th-20th century researchers, ethnographers, travelers, and surviving cult objects in museums, which were integral to Samoyedic shamanism and belief systems. Sanctuaries and deity figures, Anganazan and Nenets. Description: the practice of using satyr, seti, or deity figures was widespread among Samoyedic peoples, especially the northern groups, e.g., Anganazan. Some of these figures, particularly those representing more important deities in major sanctuaries, were depicted with 2, 3, or multiple heads, signifying the god's extraordinary power and ability to see in multiple directions or perform several functions simultaneously. These figures were often made of wood, but sometimes of metal or animal bones. Example: descriptions documented by researchers in the early 1900s confirm that the figure of one of the chief deities in the main Anganazan sanctuary was portrayed with multiple heads. Sources: Popov, A.A., The Anganazan. Materials on the Study of the Culture and Life of the Anganazans, 1948. Popov provides detailed accounts of the Anganazan cult of Seti, mentioning the multi-headed representations as symbols of powerful, principal deities. Castoran, M.A., Reisen im Norden, Journeys in the North, 1853-58. This 19th-century linguist-ethnographer also mentions finds collected in Samoyedic territories, though the specific documentation of polycephaly is largely attributed to later researchers. Symbolism of power and number. Description: multi-headed depiction is not unique to Uralic and other Siberian peoples. The three heads carried symbolic meaning, e.g., dominion over the three worlds upper, middle, lower, while figures with more heads generally emphasized the exceptional power of shamanic helping spirits or major tribal deities. This representation of multifaceted power is ethnographically validated. Source: 3 Diosagi Vilmus, Sami Religion, and his works on Siberian Shamanism, 20th century. While discussing shamanism in a broader context, these works confirm the significance of head and number symbolism in North Eurasian belief systems, to which Samoyedic beliefs belong. Archaeological evidence. Samoyedic archaeological finds are difficult to recover due to the perishable nature of the materials, wood, horn, but finds from related North Eurasian cultures and some objects discovered in Samoyedic territories provide indirect evidence. Permian-style finds, indirect link. Description: though not strictly Samoyedic, metal castings in the Permian animal style of the Ural region, close to the presumed ancient territories of Samoyedic peoples, often contain polymorphic, frequently multi-headed or multi-figure depictions. This suggests that the motif of polycephaly was already present in the wider Uralic cultural sphere since ancient times. Source: For Tikhonov, I.L., Archaeology of the Peoples of Siberia, and Specialized Literature on the Permian Animal Style of the Ural region. These archaeological sources indicate the regional roots of polymorphic deity concepts. Gemini AI. To a western milder, oceanic, climate. No pirates. As the western part of Europe lies next to the ocean, its effect causes a milder change in the climate, less hot summer and less harsh winters, which resulted in a more intact population. That the feared migration began not from that territory of Europe, but from the clearly continental central and eastern ones with much harder climate. 3. Baal, Lis sun. From the Ugaritic texts, it is clear that the Canaanite people thought that the change which rescued them from the pirates of the north through the sea was the result of the change in the weather. El of the Bible, i.e. Li, was the metaphor of the air which was the main deity of the region. The Sumerians called Li as Lil, the priest was called Enlil. The Akkadians regarded Li or Lil as a male god, although, originally, the deity was a mere hypothesis about the element which affected the fate of the world the most. Baal was Lis sun, i.e. a metaphor of the palace or dry land, originally, however, later, he was personified and the Bible mentions Baal as a human hero who became the original idol for the medieval knights' heroic fight against the dragon. Anat, the idol of th later princesses, was Lis' daughter, too. Her Egyptian equivalent was Nu, originally, a ferocious deity representing the vanishing movement of the stars. This theme is not part of that study, but it is worth mentioning that the female goddesses were the result of the spread of the Akkadian culture only. 4. Daniel of Bible earlier than thought. Paleolithic memories, Lebanon. Although it is now interpreted from the Bible that the Daniel's book was about the Greek, Persian or the Egyptian, Seleucidan wars, however, as the name indicates an aboriginal Canaanite hero, an ancient king, the story could originate in the glacial period, when the northern migration caused a lot of trouble the aborigines of the territories of the Near East. As the archaeologists found reindeers, mammoths etc., Bolyán Adriatic, 2025. And other animals of the Ice Age around the northern seaside of the Mediterranean Sea. Note, the Adriatic Sea did not exist at that time. The hunters could become pirates similarly to the so-called sea people around 1177 BC. AI. A Velazakirizanik Migflalana Daniel Profeta Koni v Bentalal Hato Saki es Deli Kiril Yok Kuzdal Mir, Az Hugaridy Zovchban Zirpal Daniel Naa Alakra. Volumenta Forasak Mijlalisir Concentral, Mehd Az Ejezet Angalra Fordija. A Biblia Daniel Konev, Sakes Deli Kirili Kuzdal May. Daniel Profeta Konevenik 11. Fichzit Hoshzan Taglalja Az Saki Kirili, Al Taliban Azalakidak Ziria Ban, Es Adeli Kirili, Al Taliban Atalamedak Egypt Tom Ban, Kozadi Faliamatos Har Koke Es Intri Koket. Ezia Proficianagi Sander Byradalmanak Felosh Tasayutani Esamini Kravonat Kozik. Idzet Az Saki Kirili Lehetsa Giz Gizelmral. Azoveg Udal Ara, Hagi Az Saki Kirili at Manidaleg Vegi Vigol Gizdal Mesket Adeli Kirili Filet, Nagi Pus Titast Vejave. Ez Agondolepo Tukrosia Daniel 11:15 Ver, Karoli Forditas, a Harkok Egi Kore Sakazabal. Mert Lj Esek Kiril Ya, Es Toltist Emil Es Bevezi Az Erstet Verast, Es Dolnek Serege Magnem Alnak, Sem Az Valigatot Neep, Es Semi Arnem Ber Elin Alni. 1. Vegi Egi Kazbai, a Vejid Juravanat Kozo Sakazban, Amikar Az Saki Kirili Vgs Os Sexapazrit Amad. Da Vejidjans Sets Vele Adeli Kirili, Es Minta Forgazal. Duji Meji Rea Az Saki Kirili Zakarekal, Love Asakal Es Sak Hajaval, Es Better Az Orzagakba, Ilazan Li Es Vegig Jarja Azakat. Daniel 11:40, Karoli Forditas, 1. Az Ugariti Zovchban Zirpal Daniel. Az Ugariti, Raz Samra, Akirasis Agyagda Block Egi Fontos Mitologe Zovch, Az Akot Siklas Tart Almaz Egi Daniel Na Agasagos Kiralit, Vagi Birat, A Kinek and A Verokana Biblia Daniel Nevavel, Bar Az Ugariti Daniel Egi Korabai, A Kre 14. Sazad Ban El Mitologe Alak. Idzet Daniel Nevavel. Az Ugariti Zovchban Daniel Egi Olyan Agazbiro, A Kinek Felicij Nem Tut Futsulnai, Es Azert Imad Kazik Az Isanahe. Azov Ben and Ave Tobzer is Shir Epel, Peldowl Akirisi I Megfagal Mazasakar. Daniel, A Rafi Ember, Az Eritas Emberi. 2. Vegi Amikar Az Istanseg Migal Gaja Imajat. Abiratal Danil Tlfi Amad. 2. Forasak. Daniel Propheta Konev, Karoli Gaspar Fordidisa, 11. Fichzet, Dan 1115, Dan 1140. Ugariti Irodal Mizovjak, Akot Siklas, Vegi Akot Epas, Rieslateka Daniel Ralzalo Pasja Sak Bal. Angal Forditas. The Struggle of the King of the North and the King of the South in the Book of Daniel. Chapter 11 of the Book of Daniel extensively details the continuous battles and intrigues between the King of the North, generally the Seleucids in Syria, and the King of the South, generally the Ptolemies in Egypt. This prophecy refers to events following the division of Alexander the Great's empire. Quote indicating the potential victory of the King of the North. The text suggests that the King of the North may temporarily or ultimately triumph over the King of the South, causing great destruction. This idea is reflected in Daniel 11:15, Karoli translation, from an earlier phase of the conflicts. For the King of the North will come and raise a siege mound and take a fortified city. And the forces of the South shall not stand, nor even his chosen troops, for there shall be no strength to stand. 1. Or in a later section concerning the time of the end, when the King of the North attacks for a final confrontation. At the time of the end, the King of the South shall attack him, but the King of the North shall come against him like a whirlwind, with chariots and horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter the countries, overwhelm them, and pass through. Daniel 11:40, Karoli translation, 1. Daniel in the Ugaritic texts. A major mythological text from the Ugaritic, Ras Shamra, cuneiform clay tablets, the Akkad cycle, features a righteous king, or judge, named Daniel, whose name is cognate with the biblical Daniel, although the Ugaritic Daniel is an earlier, mythological figure from about the 14th century BCE. Quote including the name Daniel. In the Ugaritic texts, Daniel is a just judge whose wife cannot bear a son, leading him to pray to the gods. His name appears several times, for example, when his requests are formulated. Daniel, the man of Rapha, the man of the harvest. 2. Or when the deity grants his prayer. A son will be born to the judge Daniel. 2. Sources. The Book of Daniel, Karoli Gaspar translation, Chapter 11, Dan 11:15, Dan 11:40. Ugaritic literary texts, Akkad cycle, or Akkad epic, excerpts from passages concerning Daniel. 5. In a summary. The Canaanite pantheon was a hypothesis that the world was affected by the air, the most and the northern migrations caused by the climatic changes, symbolized by the dragons, were stopped by the force of the son of the air, called Baal. From the sculptures of the time it can be detected that the people observed rightly the changes caused by the darkness of the caves in the period of the hunting, night, because of the cold climate. However, it was the 20th century and the development of the modern science today which can find a more objective source of the northern migrations which the seaside of the Mediterranean Sea had to suffer, the unique form and movement off the earth. However, the human memory was punctual and clear about the facts which influenced their life the most, the lethal danger of the migration. 6 sources. 1. Bolyán Anita, Colorful Theory. Bolyán Anita Dinosaurus Pompeii, Liaoning Esazines, Elmalet, 2019. Academia.edu. 2.d. Vitamin, melatonin, and shamanism. Bolyán Anita, Geohistory. Azines, Elmalat Egiak Bazoniai Teka, Sarvas es Scarabaeus Samanaki saz Ordog Foraza. Kulkzo, Sotetsag, D. Vitamin es Melatonin, 2022. Scripd.com. Abstract. 3 Wikipedia. Gazzetti, Culture. Milankovic. Samoyeds. Dragon. 4 Milankovic. A Ilapoatekintes. Milankovic cycles are long-term, cyclical changes in Earth's orbit and tilt that affect the amount of solar radiation the planet receives, influencing long-term climate patterns like ice ages. The cycles are named after Serbian astronomer Milutin Milankovic, who developed the theory in the early 20th century. The 3 main cycles are: eccentricity, the change in the shape of Earth's orbit from nearly circular to more elliptical over a cycle of about 100,000 years. Axial tilt, obliquity, the wobble in Earth's axial tilt, which varies between and over a 41,000 year cycle. Precession, the wobble of Earth's axis as it spins, completing a full cycle in about 26,000 years. These cycles combine to influence the intensity and distribution of sunlight reaching Earth, affecting climate over hundreds of thousands of years and playing a key role in the timing of glacial and interglacial periods. Milankovitch, orbital, cycles and their role in Earth's climate. 2020 February 27. Our lives literally revolve around cycles, series of events that are repeated regularly in the same order. There are. NASA Science.gov. Milankovitch cycles, what are they and how do they affect Earth? 2022 June. 14 Milankovitch cycles are periodic changes in the orbital characteristics of a planet that control how much sunlight space. Milankovitch cycles Wikipedia.pdf. Milankovitch cycles are the collective effect of changes in the Earth's movements upon its climate, named after Serbian civil engineer. Harvard University. Osses. Tobmijlanites. Milankovitch cycles. Wikipedia. https://n.wikipedia.org Wikimil. Oldal Leforditisa. Milankovitch cycles describe the collective effects of changes in the Earth's movements on its climate over thousands of years. The phenomenon is named after Earth movements, theory constraints, other celestial bodies. Milankovitch, orbital, cycles and their role in Earth's. NASA Science.gov. https://science.nasa.gov Earth Science. Oldal Leforditisa. 2020 February 27. These cyclical orbital movements, which became known as the Milankovitch cycles, cause variations of up to 25% in the amount of incoming insolation at. The link between Milankovitch cycles climate change. YouTube Star Talk. 649 Emigtekintes 2 Hannibal Izelt. 1735. Along with Tesla and Pupin, another remarkable Serbian scientist who left a profound mark on world science was Milutin Milankovic. Cycling Milankovic. Earth date. https://www.earthdate.org Earthdate_215_c. PDF. His curiosity about past ice ages led this early 20th century Serbian scholar to deduce and then hand calculate the linkage of Earth's long-term climate. For Oldal. PDF, Milankovic cycles Earth's climate clock. Reset Archgate. https://www.resetarchgate.net 3860. Oldal Leforditisa. 2024 November 25. Earth's climate is affected by several factors: Milankovic cycles, changes in the composition of the atmosphere, the location of the 5 Boskovic VK. Institute Ruhr Bokovi. https://www.erb.hrng Education. Oldal Leforditisa. 2025 APR. 2. According to this theory, accumulations of masses in the Earth's crust are compensated by a corresponding arrangement of masses in the Earth's Dubrovnik Jesuit monk geoid earth theory innen, www.irb.hr. PDF, Boscovich, Roger Joseph. Academia.edu. https www.academia.edu Boscovi. Oldol Leforditisa. This entry briefly presents the life and works of Rugyr Josip Bokovi, an 18th century Croatian Jesuit priest, poet, diplomat, and a true polymath. Bokovi, Rugyr Josip. Springer link. https link.springer.com rwe. Oldol Leforditisa. Irta, B. Konjak 2022 Idsatek Sama. 1. This entry briefly presents the life and works of Rugyr Josip Bokovi, an 18th century Croatian Jesuit priest, poet, diplomat, and a true polymath. Rugyr Josip Bokovi, Figure 1, Dubrovnik, 1711 mil. Hrak. https hirkok.srce.hr file. PDF. Irta, Arapan 2012 Rugyr Josip Bokovi, Figure 1, Dubrovnik, 1711 Milan, 1787, was a Croatian surveyor, cartographer, designer of instruments, physicist, mathematician. Jesuit Stairs, The Dubrovnik Guide. 6. Gravet culture. Gemini AI. A gravity kultura Europas ertas mertmsidi emilki I a Venice figuruk, ni zabrokskok, pl a Willendorfi Venice, Amliek Jelagzetisani Fejek, Attest Zaliseb, Hangsel Joseb Idomate Emilik Ki, Es Valsenlega Termakenishgal, En Yasagal Vagia Tola Sel Kapxolatos Heidelmi Hay Nightnik. Teeb Fej ni Zaber Abrasa Lasarol Nem Samalnak Be a Felelt Informasioka Gravity Contextes Ban. A Barlin Fest Minike Es Metzitek Abrasa Lase, PL Bolyán, Lovok, Jelemzen Realisticus Vadalito Commuted Nak B. A Teeb Fej Alitabrasa Lazok Zinten Nem Tartoznika Gravity Kultura Altalena San Elter Jed Motivome Kos. Kase by Teeb Fej Abrasa Lazok Zabaria Ban Es Orazerzag Ban, IE 30000 ES 6000 F Kozot. A Gravity Idzak Nel, IE 31000250000. Kase by Teeb Fejskit Abrasa Lo Lelitek L Fordolnika Mega.ie 30000 ES 6000 F Kozati Idzok Ban, Kulanasan a Gravity Kultura Valrokan, De Foldraja Lag Kulit Europaban ES Zabaria Ban El Hiljesk Kulturik Ban. Kulit Europe Sabaria Paleolithicum, Gravity Epigravity Rokan Kulturak, IE 25000150000 A Gravity Kultura Kaliti Valtazata. Az Ujinavezit Kaliti Gravity Kulturak, PL Pavlovine, Kostenki Streletskia Kultura, Elter Jedtek Kalit Europaban, Ejessen Zabariag. Izaka Kulturak is Tartalmaznak Venice Figurikat Es Alitabrasa Leso Ka, Kulanasan Mamutos, Da Anyugati Gravita Hay Kepist Eltramvzidi H Yamanukal. Teeb Fej Venice Figuruk. Acutatokidn Talalnak Olyan Zabaria Vagi Kalit Europe Paleolithicus Figurikat. Amlieket Erdal Mesnet Ket Fichzint, Bar Easy Ritka Es Vita Tot, Vagiolian Figurikat, Amlienal Afej Es Attest Urania Es Abrasa Les Ma Ja Elter and Yugati Gravititl. Isaac Azon Ban Inkab Ritka Various Iok, Menta Kultura Cosponti Elame. Teeb Fej Alat Abrasa Lazok, A Paleolithicum Ban, Belirt Gravity, Atab Alaku Abrasa Lazok is Murtek. Peldowl Atablabad Abrasa Lo Bolyán Es Levok, Amlieka Mozgast Vagi Atab Lenit Jelk Payatik. Barnem Zoshir Inti Teeb Fej Alatok, Kostiunki, Voran Yes, Orazerzug, Kornyekan Talaltakolyan Mamut Abrasa Lesoka, Amliek Ben Afej Tolmarita Zet Vagi Tab Zorosan Van Mijlanitv, Ami Lihitet Perspectiva, a Totemismus Vagi Avadasat Magia Janakris. Kase by Korzakok. IE 10.0006000 A Neolithicus ES Neolithicus Zabaria Ban ES Orazerzag Ban Mark Yakraban Mijlanek Azing Kriticus, Oszitate, Oliker Teeb Fej Abrasa Lazok, Kulanasan Avale Siritualis Sferaban, Azon Ban Ezimara Megadot Idzak Vej Fel Ezek, ES Kulturalizan Elter a Paleolithicumtal. Az Di Pies Urali Napek Mitologijaban ES Mzetban a Teeb Fej Lenik. Fleg Madarak, Zerniak, Joval Kazbai, Fleg a bronze quarry, Idzaktalvalnik Yakariva. Oszafoglalva, a gravity kulturehas, IE 3100025000, Kaz vital nul nem kapsal hato anite fej ni zobervagia tebe fej al latrajuk, da agravit velrokon kaliti kulturak, kalatura pasibaria, mzetban fellow het gritka, top zoro zabrasale smotica megadot idzokban, IE 30000 ES 6000 F kozot, Amlyek fajta tebe fejski interpretatiera ad hatnik okot. Easy a video bimudajia a gravity kultura elama jet es leg higher seb mzidi alkatazate, a Venice figuricate. A gravitian kultura, a mamit vadasuk. A migtekintate YouTube video kaz on YouTube elzam nia bentaralgia or rentshir, audatate pedig az altalanos zertsi felti telianek migflalen taralgia es hasnalgia fella YouTube. 7 Folklore, Dragons Shrek. 10:06. YouTube Family Flicks. Donkey and Dragons Love Story Shrek 2, 2004, Family Flicks. YouTube Family Flicks. 2024 June. 1. 11 Kulks Mazanata Videoban. Inan. Midnight. Donkey meets Dragon. Inan. 3:52. Dragon returns. Inan. 5:17. Donkey and Dragon get together. Inan. 5:45. Donkey misses Dragon. Inan. 6:03. Dragon has babies. Inan. 6:57. Donkey Dragon hybrid kids. Inan. 7:16. Donkey leaves with Shrek. Inan. 7:59. Dragon gets captured. Inan. 8:08. Donkey gets captured. Inan. 8:39. Donkey rescues his kids. Inan. 8:52. Dragon saves the day. 3:30. YouTube box office animation movie scenes. Fairy tales creatures invade Shrek's swamp 4K. YouTube box office animation movie scenes. 2024 OKT. 16. 8:02. YouTube Binge Society. Shrek, saving the princess from her castle. YouTube Binge Society. 5 Napja. 3:57. YouTube Mega Moments. Shrek has visitors. Movie clip Mega Moments. YouTube Mega Moments. 1 Napja. Osses. Shrek, Donkey Dragon Fandango Family. 8. Baal, Lethan and Leviathan. Ugaritic Baal Cycle Texts, KTU 1.5i, 1.33, the original textual sources for Latin, scholarly reference. What is Leviathan? Got questions, accessed, October 2025. Reference to biblical sources and linguistic etymology. Sarkany, Mythologia. Wikipedia, accessed, October 2025. General reference to dragon and multi-headed motif. Smith, Mark S., 2009. The Ugaritic Baal Cycle, Volume I, Scholarly Literature on Latin Texts and Interpretation. Wyatt, Nicholas, 1999. Religious Texts from Ugarit. Description of Latin and the Seven-Headed Nature. 9 Bible Daniel Prophet. 10 Bolyán Anita, Bio, Geohistory, Source of Shamanism is Mere Biology, Melatonin, D vitamin, 225, October.